Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Mediocre Military Modeling. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite fighter jets of the Cold War, the Mig-21 Fishbed. Specifically, the Mig-21PFM. I believe this was like a fighter. There was a couple versions. Some are more suited for ground attack, things like that. But I believe this one was a pure fighter version of the Mig-21 Fishbed. This one is the Trophy pack from Eduard, so this is more of a premium kit. I got this as a present, and I think it was pretty expensive. I think it was a Christmas present, but I think this thing was like $70-ish dollars. So premium kit. It comes with like a ton of stenciling and a lot of photo etch. So yep, here it is. Again, one of my favorite Cold War fighter jets. And I'm not sure I did this kit justice. Again, I do not do aircraft as well as I do my ground vehicles. I find aircraft to be a lot harder, and I think this turned out better than some of the other ones we've looked at previously on this channel, but it has some issues that we'll talk about here. The specific version I did is the Polish Air Force, but I didn't include all of the sort of decals. Something that I don't necessarily love about Eduard kits is my focus is more of like the Cold War, so pre 1991-ish for the most part. And a lot of times with Eduard, I believe it's pronounced. I believe it's a Czech company. A lot of the paint schemes they give you are like after the Cold War. So in the kit, I believe the Polish paint scheme was like from the late 90s, and so I had to change some things. Mostly I just didn't add the decals that were like, there's like a 40th anniversary decal, and some other like yellow stripes that I think signified it was going to be decommissioned. So I just didn't add those decals. So I think I got something here pretty close to what the scheme would have been for like a late 80s Polish Air Force as under the Cold War, as Poland as a member of the Warsaw Pact. I think. You guys could let me know. Again, there's the little raven symbol. I think that was because of the town this was stationed in. So I don't know if it's completely accurate to that time period, but I did my best with what was given in the kit. So overall, I did like this kit. There were some things where I just kind of gave up. Like I wanted to do the stenciling, and there was a ton of little decals for little, like just I don't want to say messages, but like like warding things and labels, basically labels that are all over these planes. And there were a ton in this kit, and I think I did like 75% of them, and then I was just like done with it. I did most of the ones on the top, not necessarily on the bottom, where you're not really going to be looking most of the time, but it just got to be too much. So I did the silver, sort of the silver paint scheme. There's for the Polish Air Force right there. The one other thing I liked about doing the Polish Air Force is I believe it was the only one in the kit that used these two missiles here. Most of them, it was just a single missile, but I think it said in here the loadout for the Polish one were these dual, I believe those are air-to-air missiles. And the other thing, if you could see underneath, there is a gun pod, which I thought was pretty cool. I think in the kit there was like a shark decal, like a shark mouth decal on there, which I thought was kind of cheesy, so I left that off. But yeah, I think it turned out okay. The cockpit, if you can see in there, it is that Soviet turquoise. I really like that, and I did a little research, and I think I found out there's actually a reason that a lot of these Soviet planes and Warsaw Pact planes, at least later in the 80s, but maybe earlier, they started painting the cockpits this turquoise color. I guess they did some tests, and they found that it actually lowered stress level with pilots. And I also think it has something to do with the contrast too. It made it easier to see the controls, but I think the color like lowered stress levels. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, but there was a reason they actually decided to paint their cockpits in that turquoise, Soviet turquoise, which is pretty cool. And we can take a look at the underside here. I believe these parts are also in the turquoise. If you can see underneath there, I don't know how great the lighting is. And of course, Polish Air Force decals there, and then as you can see, there's the missiles on there. So I think it turned out okay. Again, the two spots that I screwed up, although not as bad as some earlier kits I put together, is again the area around the cockpit where the cockpit sort of merges with the body of the plane. It's kind of rough, especially right there. Not as bad as like my Zero that we looked at a few episodes ago, but it's not great. It's not like flush. It doesn't look fantastic. But again, not as bad as some of my planes in the past. And then the other issue is just the paint job. The silver paint job overall, I don't have a very expensive airbrush, so certain colors like white and silver and aluminum, it clogs a lot, it has a lot of problems with, and I mean, I got the whole thing coated, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't look horrible, but it doesn't look great either, and that's usually a common theme with my aircraft with the silver paint jobs. But other than the paint job, and other than the area around the cockpit, I think this one turned out okay. So, what would I rate this kit if I was rating it 1, 2, or 3 stars? Obviously, it's the premium pack. It's kind of expensive. Honestly, I feel like I feel like this kit's just kind of expensive for what it is. Like the photo etch, I don't know if it's super necessary. All the stenciling was sort of tedious, and I don't know. I think I don't know. There was a lot of cool. There were some cool like paint schemes in here, like this one from the Vietnam. I almost went with this one with the North Vietnamese version, but these versions didn't have the gun pod on the bottom, and I really wanted to do the gun pod, so I went with the Warsaw Pack era Polish fighter version here. Though I had to modify it a little for you know, pre 90s version, but I mean, technically I want to give it a 3, but it just seemed it's not. But I don't know, with these Profi packs, it just seems like the price is a little bit jacked up for just some like photo etch parts. But I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 2 stars, but it, you know, it might be 3. I don't know. I don't really take the rating seriously, anyways. How did I do on this one? So 3 ratings I give myself. 1 is artistically inclined 5th grader could do better. 2 is that good old college try, and 3 is certified mediocre. So because of the paint job, because of the cockpit issue, I cannot give this plane certified mediocre. I do like it. I think it's good enough where it looks good on the shelf. And again, I like the Polish version with the dual sort of wielded missiles here and then the gun pod. I think I did okay for someone that's not so experienced with building the aircraft. So I'm going to give this one that good old college try. So I give it a middle rating. I might do another Mig-21, but this one is pretty decent. Middle rating, good old college try. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.